welcome to this class. It's Darlington Gospel here again, and this lecture slash class, I want to teach you about iterators in Solidity. I call them iterators, but what they basically is are loop statements. I also call them loopers. It sounds like a basketball team's name, but it's all good. So iterators are loop statements. What are loop statements? Loop statements are recursive statements. What are recursive statements? Recursive statements are a statement or a block of code that is executed over and over and over again until a certain condition is met. So if that condition isn't met, it continues executing. So without further ado, I want to create this program for you and show you how you can actually use a loop statement in Solidity. In Solidity, we have three kinds of iterators or loop statements, which are the while statement, the do while statement, and the for loop statement. So you want to still stick around because I'm going to show you code wise how to get them into your program. All right, so let's create some variables and call them assign integer, should private. I'm going to call this while res. So it's like a state variable which I want to use to store a result that comes from a while loop. So I call it while res, which actually is while result. So I want to also create two more, say do while res, and then I have for res. Okay, they are all private because I don't want to share that information. So let's create our first function called this while looper or while loop. Okay, and it's going to be public, of course, and returns. Okay, it's going to be public, and that will be all right. And let's just say it returns a boolean after execution. So within here, I will create an unsigned integer. At the end you see, and then you can determine which one of these loop statements are better for you. Some people prefer while, most people prefer for loop, and I rarely see people use do while loop though. So let's go on, because this is the counter. Basically is the initialized counter where our loop we start counting from. Okay, so and then you say while res, you assign it to be 0 from scratch, and then this is how the loop statement goes. While a certain condition, which is I, is still less than 5. Why this condition holds true, why this condition is still true, is still valid. Okay, what you want to do is to continue executing this block of code. So you want to increment this while res, okay, by 1, and also increment this. So in essence, while this condition remains true, I'm going to increment this particular this particular variable created there, this private variable, by 1. So, and then also increment this I, so that this I will continue increasing until this particular condition is no longer true, so that our loop statement can terminate. Else it will loop forever, and that will completely shut down our computer resource, that is the CPU resource, the memory, and all that. You don't want to do like that. so this is an example of a while loop statement. So that function performs it. I also want to show you how you can perform another function. Let's call this is do while loop. It's going to be very similar to this. So call this do while loop, and then here you say do while loop. So here you just increment it, say do while and then plus plus. Okay, so but the difference between while loop and do while loop is that in while loop the condition is first checked before the block of code is what executed, but in a while loop, in a do while loop, the condition is run at least once before, the block of code is run at least once before the checking process is actually put in place. So it will run this thing once before it checks, and then run again until this condition is met. That is the difference between a while loop and a do while loop. Okay, so like that, I'm done with it. So the next thing I want to create is a for loop, and this for loop is a little bit different from how you create a loops, this recent ones. So a while loop goes this way. They have public, of course, it returns a boolean value, and then so a for loop, let's create let's say that for loop what do we call it here, for loop result, want to initialize it is 0, and all we just want to do is to increment it by this is how you write a for loop. Say for loop, and then you start with the starting variable, like the index. You create an index, something that you can use as a counter. Like in this place we use I. This is how we use it. We use unsigned integer I and then equal to 0. But in for loop allows you to basically make up the setup. You put the initializing counter, and then the condition to be checked, and then the incrementer. All of those things are put in just one line of code. It makes it very clean and easy to deal with. So this is an unsigned integer, and I want to perform this, okay, until I is equal to what is less than 5, and then I want to, until that is still true, I want to increment it by what, 1. So I could come here and just say for res plus plus, and then plus at the end return true. Okay, so right here I just noticed that I really don't need all these other ones here. I don't need to do this, initialize them, because Solidity actually initializes them for you at this very place, because you say it's an unsigned integer, so it's actually initializing it to 0, so to keep things cleaner. Lastly, I want to get all the results from this loop statement, so that I could present to you what they turn out to be at the end. So let's say function get result, and this result is going to be public, of course. I say view returns because I want to make it a viewable data. So I'm going to return 3 of unsigned integers, 3 of them. Okay, and we just say return in bracket, we're going to return the y res, okay, do y res and for res. Okay, and this is semicolon, and now you can actually compile to see if everything is all good. Oh, in this piece of block here, we kind of made a mistake with how a while loop is declared. It starts with do and then space y, do this particular block, why this is like this. So that is why it's complaining. At this point, you see that everything compiles well. So it's time for us to test this code art by coming to deploy tab, click on deploy, and the smart contract is deployed. And in this place you can start doing this. For example, if I say get result, see that the result right now they are all 0 0 zeros. Okay, there have not been any performance of no performance of a for loop computation or any of the loops computation. So let's start with the while loop. As the while loop is performed and click on get result, you see the while loop returns 5. Let's perform the do while loop, right? It's done, and then we'll check it returns 5, and the for loop, right, it returns 5 as well. So that is how you perform loop statement. An incremental statement that is recursive. It's gonna be very useful to you when you be doing your smart contract code. For example, if you want to loop through an array of employee, you want to pay like 1,000 employees some of their salaries. You don't want to do that one after the other. You just want them to be in an array, and then you loop through that array and pay them all at one click of a button. So that is why you should understand stuff like this while loop, and for loops. They are very essential to your success in Solidity as well. In some other conditions, such as being able to search for a particular record in an array. So you use a for loop to scan through that array and spot out that particular record that you're trying to find and return it. So loop statements are also that useful in doing such kind of things. So that is it for this class. I'm going to see you in the next class. If you got some value on that, I'd like you to subscribe, smash that like and share button. I'll see you in the next class. Bye.